Genius loves company.
Hey, I think it'll work. You know, it may be crazy, but we're gonna do it.
Now I say cut that out, boy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Stevens. That's a very pretty dress.
Good morning. Good morning.
Well,
Good morning. Good morning.
we don't need no more roosters around here. We got one, an army.
Welcome back to the greatest morning show ever produced in human history. I'll be your host, real Gary Tussey. But all of a sudden we have a Facebook posse member, not a Facebook posse member, but a
secret
in studio secret lair, a super secret location in studio member as well. Everyone welcome, please, the lovely and talented, effervescent, sitting like a princess, perched in her electric chair, Miss Julie Tussey.
Good morning, everybody. It's so great to be here with you. Woo! I like our subject today, too. I'm very excited about that.
Good, because I needed some input on this a little bit, and I'm not getting people to call yet. They're going to start calling. Do you think they're going to start calling?
I think they'll start calling.
Well,
everybody's shy, I think.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. Boy, your voice sounds good. Your voice sounds really good coming through there.
Thank you.
Everyone probably knows Julie as the host of tell us about your podcast briefly.
Yeah, I have a syndicated podcast called the Julie Tussey Show, where we talk about lifestyle. We talk a lot about health and fitness, women's health issues, men's health issues, but mostly we like to talk about fashion, glamour, fun, and how to live a better life.
Yeah, and what about the fabulous cooking show?
Yes, I also have a cooking show on WBON TV. It's also on Roku and also on YouTube.com/TMETV. And that is wonderful because I grew up in an Italian family. I learned how to cook great food, and I've lost 30 pounds now. Woo-woo!
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I've lost 15.
Yes, you have. I take our original recipes and I cook them on the show, and then I lighten them up a little bit, or I tell you how to lighten them up. So if you're on your fitness journey like I am.
And they can find that program where? Because they need to find it. I am the executive producer and I do post-production.
Yes.
I'm actually, you heard the phrase of the director's cut?
Yes.
Well, I'm the director that does the cut.
He cuts all the stuff out.
Like Julie, there's something on your lip, and we cut that, okay?
You took a bite of corn with cilantro and your teeth are full, that kind of thing.
Yes, that kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, you can see it on WBON TV. It's on the first of the month. We release a new episode every month, and you can, I guess it airs like 42 times a week on WBON TV. Then you can also go over to Roku. You find WBON TV on Roku. You subscribe to the channel, and I have my own channel within that called Julie Tussey.
Awesome. Did you hear what I'm talking about today?
I did. I love it.
You know what the segment's called? You say it.
Girl on top, baby.
There you go. That's right. Girl on top. We're talking about women in the workplace, and Miss Julie, I've been talking about preconceived ideas. If I say a certain profession, you think a man or a woman does that. So if I say cosmetologist, what do you think?
I think woman.
And if I say barber, what do you think?
Man.
That doesn't make us sexist, right?
No, not at all.
And because even a little kid, I don't know. If I say fireman, of course it says man.
Man, yeah.
But now they're fire people, fire persons, and yeah. Okay, so a speech therapist, pathologist, 98% of that profession is driven by women. Women occupy 98% of that profession, whereas an HVAC refrigeration expert, mechanics, and installer is 99% men.
I totally understand that.
Do you think, I made the point earlier, and argue with me if you want to, that women work where they want to work?
Basically, yes.
Yeah, they don't work where they have to work. And do you feel like most women work because they choose to work?
I would say it's 50-50. I would say many women work because they have to support their family. So I would say half or a little more maybe do that, and then the rest would choose.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
Yeah. I mean, even men, because if I could do what I choose to do, it'd be a lot of fishing, golfing, playing music, and although I love building, I'd probably be the fourth thing on my list.
I'd lay on the beach if I could make money doing that.
Yeah, I hear that
know
too.
that.
Yeah, I would, and I would watch you laying on the beach. And I wouldn't be weird or anything about it. But. All right, here we go. There are 74 rather. There are 74.6 million women in the civilian workforce. That does not even include the military. Okay. Almost 47% of U.S. workers are women. So almost half of the workforce are girls on top.
Doesn't that make sense since there's more women population than men even?
Is there? Yes. But I believe there's another reason that drives certain statistics in the labor force. I believe there's certain drivers that we'll talk about in a minute. So.
Good.
There are 39% of women work in occupations where women make up at least 3/4 of the workforce. So it's not like women aren't out there doing it and getting things done. One touchy situation we'll talk about here in a little bit is how they get paid as well. But I think the whole pay thing is going to need to be examined. It needs to be examined on a regular basis. Women own close to 10 million businesses, accounting for $1.4 trillion in receipts in this nation.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And female veterans tend to continue their service in the labor force. About 3 out of 10 serve their country as government workers.
That's really, really good.
Yeah.
I have some things to say about this.
I want you to say it. That's why you're here.
Yeah, those are amazing numbers considering that women are who bear the children in families, and a lot of times a pregnancy can be hard, so you may have up to close to a year off having a child, but to be able to have your own business and keep it intact, or to be part of the workforce like that, I would think that would make the numbers go down, but our numbers are still high.
But what I want to do is get a bunch in here at one time and just have a ball. So if any of the Facebook posse is willing to become part of the secret studio in the secret underground lair location of Tussey Music and Entertainment Studios, then we want to get you in here because we just have a ball bouncing off one another. It's just the way we do it. We're enjoying the Girl on Top segment. We are... talking about women, that means women in the workplace. I don't know what you think that means, but that means women in the workplace. So we got a lot to talk about. I'm reading some statistics here, and they're very, very interesting. Miss Julie, let me give you, I know how you love having tests. I'm going to give you a test.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to say these professions, and you're going to tell me if now you got to be honest with this test. It's not like a lie detector test, but it is. And... all right, so when I say this profession, you tell me you think girl, you think boy, you think man, you think woman, okay? All right, here we go. Cosmetologist.
Woman.
Barber.
Man.
Butcher.
Man.
Librarian.
Woman.
Cafeteria worker.
Woman.
Flight attendant.
Woman.
All right, stop. That's enough. We get the point that there are certain things.
Women rule.
Yeah, we get the point. There are certain things you think about men as that in that occupation, and there are others you think about women. But we're going to read some statistics here. Right here, it says this is on the official government, and if it's an official government site, it's telling the truth. It's U.S. Department of Labor blog is what it is. Now we're going to talk about women in management occupations, okay? Because women, I mean, like we said, this whole segment is Girl on Top. Women in management occupations, human resources managers are made up of 74% women. What's your thought on that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, well, see,
it kind of makes sense because sometimes we're bossy.
We've
really.
got a dear friend. Why do we think of human resources people as the hatchet?
I guess because they have to fire people.
Yeah, and they have to resolve things that, like, are you serious? I really have to deal with this today?
Well, we have a friend who has that very high up position, and she's tough nails.
Yeah,
man, she is tough.
You got to be tough. You got to move things instead of things moving you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 74% of women or work in human resources, in management, in human resources management. I mean, in other words, they're the leader. They are the leader. Okay, here's one. Social and community services managers, and I think we've got some friends, Facebook friends, Facebook posse that weigh in that work in this field. Social and community service managers, 71% of those.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, do you not? I kind of look at social work as a very almost tender, heart-filled position where women are more mercy and grace than men generally, like the stereotype at least.
So that would also take the stereotype of hatchet person out of human resources, although that's just got to be their job. It's like, they take them to a crowded restaurant because they have something to tell them,
Well, human resources also requires a lot of that, I think, where people don't feel like you're fired, like you're compassionate and you feel their pain. You're sorry this is happening.
Education administrators. We have a dear friend I graduated. There's Darlene. Good morning, Darlene, that I graduated high school with, and she is in this profession. Education administrator. She's a principal. 65% of those are women. So if I said, if I gave you that test earlier and I said school principal, I still typically think man. Huh?
I do. I think it might be our age. When we grew up, the stereotypical was happening so much more than now. It's been broken so much.
But now, 65% of those in education administration, managerial positions are women. That's the girl on top.
Yeah, that's
right.
Amazing.
There's food service managers. Women make up 46%, so that's nearly half. Marketing and sales managers, 45% of those are women, and that's nearly half again. Now, chief executives, now this is a little bit telling. Chief executive officers, only 27% are women.
Yeah, I wonder if that's related to the bearing children thing, because you have to just be a very big, that has to be the main part of your life, I'd say.
And I wonder if it has to do with, like we said earlier, is women choose to do what they want to do, and right. and so leave it alone, right?
Right.
Okay. Computer and information systems managers, as 26% of those are women. Here's an interesting one because it's the field that we're in. Construction managers, only 7%. Of that field are women.
Wow.
And although we have a woman that's our field operations manager, and it's our oldest daughter.
And she does a good job, too.
She does great, and she loves it.
And that boils down to the choosing, I think.
And she's there because she chooses to be. So, yeah. All right, so you're listening to the greatest morning show on Y92.5 WKY FM. Thanks for hanging with us. Also over at 103.5 WKXO. We love that family down there because we reach deep. I found out because I heard it myself. We reach deep into Rockcastle County, and so we're very glad to be down there. Listen. Let's talk a little bit about you becoming a sponsor of the Greatest Morning Show. We accepted one sponsor yesterday who will sponsor the weather at $5 a pop. You can sponsor the weather, and you got to buy 5 at a time, which means a $25 investment. And that is not something that you have to have a long-term commitment on. You can do it for just 5 in and out. So that's something that you need to prayerfully consider. We will help to try to steer traffic to your business. There's no doubt. So
definitely,
yeah.
If I can say something about that, we've done some advertising for the cooking show on radio, and we can't go anywhere that people don't recognize and know. They're like, I heard about your cooking show on the radio. I was surprised at how effective this advertising is. It's very, very, it's a great place to put your money.
Yeah, and it's very affordable. I had to wait a while for them to give me the rate, and then when I got the rate, I said, duh, I must think too highly of myself because that's the most affordable advertising I've ever seen in my life. So, so you want to reach out to us, you can email us at realgarytussey@gmail.com. You can leave a message there. We'll get back with you. Also, welcome us when we come. We're going to come find you if you don't come to us. So
We're coming to visit you.
We're coming to visit you because this is a good investment. One of your best advertising dollars is investing in a good morning show, and you have found one right here. As a matter of fact, the greatest morning show ever in human history. I want to talk a little bit about what's coming tomorrow and the next day. Tomorrow morning, we hope to have Michael Welsh on with us. So we're looking forward to that. Michael Welsh is a professor of music at EKU. It's always good to have him. Pay should be based on productivity. You get the job done, it doesn't matter. Hey, if you are hired to produce 10 in a day and you only produce 8, but you expect to be paid for 10, there's something wrong with that equation. And there should be a bonus for going over what you're expected to produce in a day. If you're expected to produce 10 and you end up producing 12, 15, I've actually heard people in the labor unions actually have people demoted and fined for producing more than what they were hired to do.
That is
for
not
their production.
That's not good.
No, it's not good. It's not good at all. And
we should be rewarded for our hard work.
Well, and it should be. A farmer understands that very well. He's only going to get paid for what he produces and puts in that bin and takes to market, period.
That's right.
And if he's not producing, he or she is not producing, then they're not going to make the grade. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about our, I'll say it in a minute, about how everybody can get a hold of us.
Yeah.
I think we're not doing that enough, and I want to do that more. So I want to start with, you can reach out to me at realgarytussey@gmail.com. That's realgarytussey@gmail.com. Also, I encourage you, check out our webpage at our website at realgarytussey@gmail.com. And I'm encouraging you, too, to call in the phone. You got ideas, you got input on the things we're discussing. We love to hear from you. We're not haters. We believe everybody's got something to say from their perspective and why to say it. So we encourage you to get involved with us like that. How can they get in touch with you, Julie?
You can reach me at julietussey@gmail. You can also find me on the internet. Just Google. You'll find everything we're doing. But you can find my website at the Julie Tussey Show .com. I always want to say at. The JulieTusseyShow.com.
All right. So appreciate that. So easy to use, it barely felt like you were doing anything. They all seemed like perfectly acceptable methods to the Gary Tussey effect in the earth.
Genius loves company.
Hey, I think it'll work. You know, it may be crazy, but we're gonna do it.
Now I say cut that out, boy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Cleaver. That's a very pretty dress.
Good morning. Good morning.
Well,
Good morning. Good morning.
we don't need no more roosters around here. We got one, an army.
Welcome to the greatest morning show ever produced in human history. I'm just laughing because it's just a good time to laugh. We're helping to make your day, hopefully, putting some latitude in your attitude and encouraging you to be comfortable in your skin. And that's what we're going to look at here for a few minutes together. And then we're going to have our weekly Wednesday West Want We View. And that's going to be fun because the lady of the house is going to chime in because we do our share of eating out. And,
We do. I think we've visited every single one on their list.
Yeah, we've got our opinions on things. They're all constructive. You know, we can constructively say that wasn't a very clean place. sometimes. So whatever. We have been known to walk into a restaurant and walk out.
Exactly.
As soon as we walk in.
Check
because
the bathrooms.
Yeah, check the bathrooms.
They're not good. Don't eat there.
But let's be comfortable in our own skin doing it.
Yeah.
How would that be?
Yeah, I'm all about that.
You cannot be a man pleaser. If you don't know what that means, it means that you're trying to satisfy everybody else but yourself. We're on a website right here called bustle.com, and we're reading from 6 ways to be more comfortable in your own skin. Have you looked over this a little bit, Miss Thang?
Vaguely, yes, but this is a good topic for me.
It is a good topic, period. Let me kind of... Number 1 way to be comfortable in your skin. Well, let me read this. I like this introduction here. Let me read this a little bit. Life often feels like one giant contest. Our society is constantly pointing out who's the prettiest. You're kidding me, really?
Right.
Who's the smartest? Who's the most successful? Who's the best dressed? Who determines those standards? Who determines those standards anyway? Exactly. Given all this, though, it's really no surprise if you don't feel comfortable in your own skin every now and again. All right, so I have pretty much mastered being comfortable in my own skin.
Yes, you have.
And oftentimes to the criticism of people saying I'm egotistical or arrogant, but I'm not. I love people and I serve people, but I know who I am. I also know what I'm assigned to do by my Creator, so I just do it. Mm-hmm. So I don't ask questions a lot of times either, right? And sometimes
That's right.
you would wish I did. Yeah. Maybe. So
I have not. It took me a while to come into this, and I think it might have been the peer pressure of airbrushed women that look like they're 12 on the cover of magazines being, women it seems have a little harder time in this area because of the comparison issue.
Yeah, let's read on a little bit. Being comfortable with yourself means here you go, Julie, means not comparing yourself to others and feeling okay with whatever choices you make in your life. It can mean accepting how you are, being cool with how much you weigh. I don't know about that. No, I'm teasing. Having good self-esteem, liking where you're at in life. I don't know about that either. I'm always 3 or 4 steps ahead of myself of where I want to be. Mm-hmm. So maybe this is going to help me a lot.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm not as comfortable in my own skin as I think. And the list goes on. But as at the core of all of it, the sense that you are fine, that you are fine just as you are, and that's what we're getting to the bottom of. And when you're truly comfortable in yourself, you don't feel the need for comparison, and you don't feel the need to do things simply to impress others.
Yeah.
Well, I'm way past that. Of course, right. I'm not a spring chicken or a freshman or a sophomore.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. It's a challenge for many people, and even the weight issue. I will have to talk about that, because usually the first step to be able to actually lose weight and keep it off is to accept where you are and love you where you are. Yeah,
I believe that. Well, there are 6 things here that I think are pretty comprehensive in helping to encourage people to be comfortable in their own skin. Boy, I like this one, because this is what real Gary Tussey of the Greatest Morning Show says to do every day, and that is, number 1, take care of yourself.
That's right. You have to.
Which means take time for yourself, take care of yourself. It's so easy to let your health fall by the wayside. I'm reading right now, so you don't think I'm plagiarizing if you're on the same website, bustle.com. And yet taking care of yourself is an important part of feeling comfortable in your own skin. Not sleeping, not eating right, not drinking enough water. It can even leave you feeling less than wonderful. Imagine that. How you feel about that?
I totally agree. I think as we get busy, especially when we have families and children, it's easy to never say no. That's a very big thing, learning to say no, so that you can take time for yourself. And even you used to do this for me. You'd come home from work and you would take the babies for an hour. We've had 2 sets of twins, and then we have a total of 6 children. And you would take the babies for an hour and let me have some time to myself. You have to find time to take care of your health, because you you lose it later in life, and then it's very painful.
That's right. And this concludes with it is easier to feel good about who you are when you make your needs priorities. And that's what I've been telling our all of our fans here on the Greatest Morning Show. You have to take care of numero uno. And I even used the analogy. I was on a flight, my first flight when I started flying, and the flight attendant, back then they were called stewardesses. The flight attendant gave the demonstration of what to do if the oxygen mask comes out of the ceiling. And she simply said, "You put it on you first, not your baby, not your children. You first." Because if you pass out, nobody can take care of your children or your kids. So you take care of you first, then you can take care of everything else.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah. It was a shocker to me, but it really marked the spot.
If you're feeling terrible all the time and not taking care of yourself, how can you actually care for those that you love the way you want to and think you should?
Exactly. And truly, you just cannot do it. You just can't do it. Meditate to figure out what ails you. All right, that's still another taking care of yourself. Even if you have a lot of stuff in your life, it can still feel like something's missing. Taking time to meditate, and you can also interject prayer there. Taking time to meditate and pray can help you figure out what that something is. What do you think about that?
I totally agree. You have to look inward. You have to take time to find out what's great about you and what's great about your life and maybe what you want to work on, and realize you're not alone.
We don't stop enough, and that's why I'm saying that's why the opportunity clock set 15 minutes earlier every morning is so critically important, because that's when you're taking time for yourself. You keep things in perspective in yourself before you can make things in perspective in your life, everything without.
Exactly.
So we're going to get through half of these good by the 15-minute break, so that's good. Do things that make you happy, and look at that picture right there. See what makes her happy? An Epiphone special, an SG special. She's playing music. So do things that make you happy. What is it that makes you happy? Painting, fishing, running, bicycling, or music?
Movies.
Music for me is always it. I'm going to read again from the website. One way to figure out who you really are is by doing things that make you happy. When you're feeling bad about yourself, it's easy to get swept along with that flow. You end up saying yes to things you don't really want to do, and you wind up adopting other people's hobbies just for the sake of having friends. Stop that!
Right. That's what I was saying about no. You have to learn to say no.
Yes. But people who are comfortable within themselves or comfortable in their own skin rarely do this. They know how to say no. Did you read ahead? Is that what you did?
No, I teach on this on my podcast.
And they aren't afraid to spend time doing things they enjoy. So if you want to sit at home and knit a wardrobe for your kitty cat, then by all means do so. And when you start focusing on that, then you'll like yourself. You'll be far more true to yourself. You'll have a sense of authenticity. And guess what? You use vocal coaches for more than just singing. And so to maintain my professional broadcast voice, Michael Welsh is helping me to do that. So I greatly appreciate him. And he's developing, Miss Julie, I don't know if you knew this or not, because I don't know how much you pay attention when you're not actually in the studio to what we do down here. But he is developing a professional choir. Did I tell you that?
I think I've read that.
Okay, so he's developing a professional choir, and every Thursday and Friday is
Musica
for those south of what's rapidly becoming a border again. So, music, and we also are having a very special guest on Friday, and that is Doug Alexander, who is currently, you know who he is? He is the sound, no, not just the sound engineer, the stage sound engineer.
What a job.
For Clint Black. Now, what's that mean? That means he's the one who runs the sound for what the artist hears on stage. That
I
is
love that.
very, very important. He is the stage engineer for Clint Black, but he's rubbed shoulders with many greats, including Billy Gibbons. And guess what, Julie? You got to get this.
Huh?
He was responsible for the amazing tones.
What?
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Woo!
Oh yeah, baby.
I love me some Stevie Ray
Yeah,
Vaughan.
well, I do too, and he's been very inspirational. This man, don't even get me started.
That's so awesome that he's coming.
He's going to be on the air with us Friday, so that's going to be wonderful. So hang in there, baby. It only gets better from here, and it's pretty daggone good right now. Huh?
You know his job is so important because if you on stage, if you don't feel like you sound good, you don't give it your all. When you feel like you sound good, you have a great performance.
He said Stevie Ray Vaughan, more than any other artist, was all about the tone. It was hours and hours and hours just getting the perfect tone, and you can listen to him and tell that. So yeah, we're
I'm
thrilled
just all
about that.
about hearing myself. aren't
Oh,
you?
yeah, I know. Well, because we don't have trained professionals. Well, I tell you what, though, Dooley, is his name Bobby Dooley? He's a really good sound engineer. Maybe we can get him. Steve's brother.
Oh,
Steve
okay.
Dooley's
All right.
brother.
Yeah, that would be great.
Maybe we can get him on here too. I love talking the Musica thing, man.
Me too.
I do. Speaking of Musica, and it's not. See, get me started on music, and I just go
We're
off
gone.
the rail.
He's gone. He's
Yeah.
gone, people.
But my favorite tone and my favorite style to play, I haven't been playing much because there's just not an outlet for it. But I think I'm going to make my own outlet, and that is the that is the Carlos Santana style. I love the tone. I've got the guitars he plays, and I think I'm just gonna.
Well, you sound so much like him that people have called you Gary Tussey. I love that. That's my favorite. We actually wrote an entire album with that sound, the And Dance album.
Yes, and when you hear the music on here, the bumper music, it is some of what I'm all the guitar. Any vocals you're hearing on there are mostly Julie. So anyway, we better get on with this.
All right, come on. Let's
We've
love
got
ourselves
three
here.
more things talking about being comfortable in our own skin. Number 4 is learn to love your physical flaws. Boy,
Oh, man.
we're going to have a conversation on that one.
We could talk about this for hours.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember being younger and hating your freckles or wishing desperately for smooth hair instead of the curly, kinky stuff? But then, as you got older, you realized that your freckles are adorable and your hair is super awesome. Am I right?
Well, yeah, it makes you individual. I think that's the hard part when you're younger. You're comparing yourself to everyone else, and
Yeah.
you usually want the opposite of what you have. But as you grow a little older and learn how beautiful you are,
If you don't outgrow that, I guess you're the one who gets all the plastic surgery to look like the Barbie doll, right?
yes. And there are actually people walking the face of the earth that have used Barbie as their example.
I know they walk the earth as a Barbie doll, but they're not beautiful. So what are they trying to do?
No, don't you find Gary Tussey that the thing that I find beautiful, I'm around a lot of women, and I see many different kinds of women, and the thing that I find beautiful about them are their individual characteristics that another woman may or may not have, but that just make them them.
Yes, and I think the beginning of attractive and sexy is clean and a good appearance, period.
And confidence,
And confidence.
Do men find that? I think that attractiveness comes from being confident in what God gave you. Own it and rock it.
Well, number 5 is embrace your unique personality. Everybody's different. I've said this a million times. You are created by your creator to create, and you're going to create what in you is already, and you are that way uniquely to apply yourself. That's why it's so important when you're involved in what you call work. Your work is an extension of yourself, so hopefully it's something you love, and that's why I call it applying your ingenuity for the increasing of your revenue stream.
That's right.
So be absolutely
who you are, right?
Be absolutely embracing your unique personality. You are you, and people can love you or they can hate you, but you got to be true to you.
Exactly. I was going to say you have to be true to who you are, and don't let anybody change you.
That's exactly right. Number 6, ladies and gentlemen, learn how to be alone with yourself. Boy, I like
That's
that
a
one.
tough one for
I'm
some
a little
people.
over the top on that one, though.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
I'm a little over the top on that one. I like a lot of space, and I like to be left alone.
And I don't. I don't.
No, I know, but there's probably a balance somewhere in between. But the thing that sparked this morning show is I was always up early in the morning, you know that, and I always spent time to myself and time to prepare my life and spend some time to myself. Then I decided, I'm going to take this on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And then it wasn't long after that I was invited to do a morning show, radio show, and all because I enjoyed the privacy of a little bit of space. So now I'm still up at 4 every morning to have that quiet time ahead of having this not quiet time with the radio audience.
Exactly. And if you the thing I'm concerned about this a little bit is technology, I think is robbing us, so we need to make it a priority to have some time to ourselves.
Absolutely.